What's happening, everyone? We are back. We are back every day. We are back. It certainly seems that way. You know why? Because why not, right? Why not? I picked this ecosystem a long time ago, and I don't care what the price looks like right now. I really don't. You know, I think for me personally, when the Fed stops raising rates and that slows down, the macro stuff gets a little better, the cycle gets a little closer, the halving gets a little closer, all that stuff. That's when I'm going to be more of like, if I were to have any expectations, that's when me personally, not financial advice, would be more excited and gearing up for some more interesting stuff. But right now, it's just not happening. It's August 2023. It's just what it is. So in the meantime, why am I still streaming? Why there's plenty of other people in the community tweeting and streaming and friend tech and doing all the cool stuff? Why are we excited and building and creating content and just not being sad face all the time, complaining, yelling on Twitter? Some people do that. That's fine too. I don't know. For me, it's good. Things are good. So I think there's plenty of cool stuff to talk about. I have 2 or 3 streams, solo streams. Probably going to do this weekend, honestly. I have one like a PulseChain 101. I tweeted about this too. I have a PulseChain 101 that I don't think I've ever did like this. Like what is this thing? How to connect to it, all that stuff. So I'm thinking about doing a dummy wallet deal and kind of doing a live stream around that just to create some content for newcomers. And other one, I want to do like a crypto history deal. I want to do because I've been in crypto since 2016. I think it's when I first bought some stuff, bought some Bitcoin or otherwise. And boy, that was better prices with like $600 back then, $500, $600, $700, $800 at one point. And I want to do a crypto history and kind of walk through stuff I remember, maybe take some member berries for a moment and kind of take you through why, finding Richard and stuff too. And then why HEX, why going so deep into HEX. Actually, it wasn't all in on HEX at first. It was one of those wait and see Richard kind of deals. I'm like, hey, I like the guy a lot, but is he a founder? Can he succeed in this? All that stuff. And then, boy, I was turned out to be beginning of HEX. I almost wish I would have put my life savings there. One of those kind of things. I joke, of course, but boy, had we known what was coming, the storm of 2020, 2021, 2022, good stuff. Anyways, I'm gonna bring coffee in just a minute. He's occupied for a moment, so I told him I'd give him a couple minutes here. But yeah, I think that's what motivates me. And red candles, I don't even look at the chart. I cannot care. I literally have adopted to that. I cannot care what the price is, the charts say. Cannot care right now. I've been talking about I've made more HEX stakes recently than I might have ever made before. Different laddering techniques and stuff too. So those t-shirts, they may get cheaper, but boy, they're cheap enough for me right now. I'll say that. Let me say out to the chat. We'll get started here. Coffee's on mobile, by the way. So we may or may not see his face. We may or may not see some cute avatar. Kaiza, what's happening? Glad you're here. You make awesome clips we love to see on the Twitter and otherwise. So welcome. More like double gin and tonic. Hey, that's whatever you like. I like coffee. I tend to drink more coffee. I've been doing much more fasting, meditation, all that stuff, and staying away from alcohol more lately. So yeah, everyone's got their thing though. Cold Guinness. Been here since from HEX at 1 set. Yeah, I'm with you. We were doing open mic, and I was talking to Johnny Chaos on there too, and I was like, yeah, I remember on Bidesk when I was waiting for HEX to go to 2 sats. I was like, am I really going to have to start trading the Ethereum pair? Do I need to trade the Ethereum pair? Because, it's just sitting there at 1 sat and it gets to 2 sats. Oh, it's ever going to make to 3 sats. So it seemed like forever to get to 3 sats. And then we went to 8 sats and 9 sats. And yeah, who knows? I feel like a lot of people may have took some profit at that point. Ooh, wow, I got my 3 or 4X. When the 10,000X, the 9,000X. Hadn't happened yet. Took a little bit longer for that. Godfather J6, what's happening? Welcome. Paul Sachs is here. The Chat of Chads is here. The Pulse Former is here. Red Squirrel in the house. Robert Booker, welcome. Believe in yourself. Welcome. Super Snake, pretty nice day in Western Washington. Yes, it is. It is a nice day. Super Snake. Looks like a lot of nice weather coming up from time to time. Hex edits. What's happening, man? What's happening? Welcome. Always love your stuff and love your all support. Drix. Let's see. Love and peace. Thank you, Backwide Bay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Love and peace is the words of the day, and really good stuff. I've been listening to a lot of Sam Harris meditation stuff too. He has a very good series on free will and a lot of other just key concepts that will, if you internalize it, if you believe it and internalize it, like, you should probably never hate anyone. A lot of people are just unlucky a lot of ways too. So Umberto, what's happened? Welcome. Johnny Chaos, what do you got for us, Max? Well, I'll tell you what I got. I got crypto coffee with nice avatar, man. How's it going?
Hello, sir. Greetings, people. Welcome to the bottom of the bear market. How we all feeling?
We're feeling strong, educated, well-rounded, and I'm drinking some iced coffee right now. It's black. There's exactly 0% soy in this coffee. It's black.
Good. Yeah, no, I would hate for you to have any soy at all. It's tough out there, boys and girls. I'm out here surviving. I am on the road right now, so just on my way to visit some family and do some family stuff. Got to remember what's really important, right? Money is one thing, but health is the real wealth, and just keeping up with the old fam. Can't forget about them. So, what do you got for us, Max? What do you got?
I got a whole agenda of stuff to run with you through, to make sure the people feel like they're getting their fill of content today, man. I've got a lot of cool stuff. However, I did hear, I watched you and DCC talk the other day, so I want to start with this. You mentioned Phantom, Poloniex. I heard a lot of shit coinery, a lot of old nostalgic stuff back then. What is your? I just want to start with that real quick. What is your favorite thing about 2016, 2017, 2018? Like, what got you out of bed back then? Let's go there. I'm curious.
Like a lot of people, I just had this false sense of the more I read about something and understand all the big words, that somehow that's what's going to make the price of something go up. And so I see a lot of people make the same mistakes today. They might be new, might be their first year, might be their first couple of months. But they hear about the hot new tech thing that comes along, whether it's base chain or friend.tech or you name it. I mean, there's a new thing to read up on every 2 weeks or every day, really, if you want to. And that's not where, those coins are usually good for a temporary hype pump and then eternal death, right? For the vast majority of coins that don't have a community behind them, because you need the tech to a degree, but you need the timing matters a lot too. And people need to be ready to adopt the technology and ready to understand the technology. You can have a great idea that's so far ahead of its time that nobody really understands the value, right? Or you could have a really dumb idea, like that everybody just pretends to understand because it's got, a little frog picture on it. And that's equally stupid in the reverse way, right? That's, a lot of these things are just not going to be here very long is what I'm saying. And it's fun. It's fun to play with the meme coins at the bottom of the bear. It keeps people engaged. And we do need builders on every chain. But 99% of meme coins will not make it. And same with every crypto in general, too. So you just got to start looking for stuff that's going to last you on a multi-year time frame, not a multi-month or week time frame. And as long as you've got those bags packed, as long as you've got your long-term bags packed, yeah, I mean, it's really fine to play around with, doing some shit coinery here and there. But, my mentality in 16, 17, 18 was I was holding about 30 coins, right? And I thought they were all going to be winners and they were all going to be the future. And in reality, it's like none of them were. And I didn't even buy into Ethereum back then, when really Ethereum would have been like the one to hold. That would have been, if I had just if Ethereum was even one of my big plays in 16, 17, 18, I would have probably done a lot better than holding, 30 random shitcoins. And we didn't have the whole layer one boom back then. It was literally all just white papers and vaporware. So this time around, we've got memes, we've got tech.
Dexes.
Sorry?
Oh, Dexes. See?
Dexes, yeah, we've got Dex tokens. We got the liquidity yield farming whole game, and that's getting a little bit played out as well. I mean, luckily it's pretty fun on PulseChain right now. So I will say the yield farming on PulseChain is pretty invigorating. It's nothing new, right? It's like everybody's just doing the same playbook that Binance Smart Chain did. And I kind of see it going that way a little bit with, oh, let's hop over to this yield farm or that yield farm. And that's all fun, right? I'm experimenting with yield farms myself. I'm excited for things like 9-inch or whatever. But, with every one of these things comes a degree of risk. Never put all your eggs in one yield farm basket. And just realize that, these things have a life cycle where they get hyped up. And then people eternally kind of tend to dump the yield farm token. And unless, the team somehow manages to keep adding quote unquote utility, like, oh, here's some utility short-term pump, and then everybody stops caring again. And you can only do that so many times before you cycle through, and then everyone just jumps over to the next yield farm. But at least I'm telling you guys, that is the game. That is the game that we're playing. So by all means, make some money on these farms, guys. I mean, these farms have kept me afloat to a degree. I'm excited for 9-inch. I'm excited for a couple other ones, but you'll find them if you want to find them. And if you don't want to play yield farming games, don't do it. I see a lot of people getting mad at each other right now, like, you're not talking about the tokens that I like or whatever, vice versa, or I'm an RHMaxi and all that stuff. And we just gotta be respectful to each other, guys, because any activity that's within the PulseChain ecosystem is going to be a net positive, right? Like anything that brings activity, transactions, TVL, volume into the ecosystem, whether it's, HOA or PulseX, the token, like, we're all going to have differing opinions about which coins are good and bad, but the rising tide does lift all ships here. So I'm much more confident, with my main primary bags are in stuff that Richard Hart built, obviously. I just trust it a little bit more. I trust the products themselves, the immutability of them, the safety of them. And there's going to be a lot of things that come and go. But like we've already seen, some people have made a lot of money lately with meme coins. And so who are we to rain on their parade as well? So while I'm not necessarily a maxi, I guess I don't know how to word this quite right, but you don't want to be a maxi in anything, really. You can be a maxi in your own private, and I know I'm talking to RHMax, right, which is the Irish. So
I know I have to laugh at it a little bit.
In your private holdings, go ahead, be a maxi in your holdings. I am 90% maxi in my holdings as well. Right? But don't hate somebody else that they're doing something that you don't agree with. Just, you could calmly explain how you disagree. And hey, man, you're risking a lot over there. Wouldn't put more than a couple $100 into all these different random little shit coins. But, you do you at the end of the day. And, we just got to keep the positivity going in the bottom of the bear, that we're all on the same team here. Let's not forget that we've got history to write. We've got an SEC lawsuit to win. So, I mean, I think a lot of people need to start focusing our efforts more on what can we do in a positive direction rather than cannibalizing ourselves.
Yeah, I think the toxicity is one thing that is super, something that is just not needed. It's something that comes out, I think, when the candle colors, right? But it's something that, just RX maximalism, for example, being healthy in it, bringing the healthy brand, not making it a holy. I like to say that, like, if you don't make it a holy war, it won't be a holy war. Like, you can still respectfully disagree or just don't invest in certain things you don't like. I mean, I'm interested in projects that have some sort of positive feedback loop in the community with RH coins, which is not all of them. However, I've been thinking about this a little more recently too. And you mentioned, TVL go up, stuff like that. Acknowledging that the splitting buying pressure is a real thing, and there's a lot of scam coins that can take a lot of capital away from the better coins or the longer term coins or whatever. But if I were to steel man the case for not even the utility, but just the case for meme coins being around and being something that can be positive in some way for the ecosystem, I think especially in the bear, that's where I think they have a place. I'm not fond of them, but I'm a little more accepting of them in the bear, just because it could be a distraction and could be a way to keep people having some kind of fun in, whether they win or lose with them.
Well, I could find a negative or a positive frame in which to convey almost anything to you, right? So there's all this controversy. People have drawn their lines in the sand of where they want to be. And I hear people talking smack about others all day long. Like, oh, those Maxis are preventing adoption. And it's like, well, you also go into some of these alternative chat rooms and you go into their telegrams and they're literally like shitting on PulseX all day long, hyping their coin up at the expense of another coin that, you know, like HEX or PulseX or whatever. And it's like, yo, man, you're being a hypocrite right now, basically saying, I don't like how the Maxis hate on us, and then you're doing the exact same thing, hating on, you know, the main Richard Hart coins, just to try to prop your coin up. I think if your coin has merit, it should be able to stand on its own without you having to diminish something else in order to make your thing look better. And if anything, you know, maybe at least try to go outside the ecosystem and be like, well, at least we're better than Solana or something like that. You know, do something a little more productive than just infighting, right?
It is weird how a lot of these arguments get. I do feel like we could have more productive arguments. Like literally, the heat and the frustration could be more. There could be something more productive come out of it. But a lot of it, again, I've muted so much stuff on Twitter, and I hear people talk about it, but I really don't see a lot of negativity. I think I've literally just muted the right people. But it's like it's nothing productive. A lot of it. It's just like, okay, now that we've settled this, now people are just mad at each other instead of now that we settled it, we learned something. Like I feel like it could be like a better argument time too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think 90% of the people, I mean, my timeline nowadays looks very friendly. Everyone's kind of got the same alignment, but that's because that's who I want to look at. But there are these dark circles of the internet, especially in the bear market. People are mentally unwell, mentally unstable, and you just got to steer clear of that because, I mean, you are the people that you hang around with, and you are the information you're feeding yourself. So if you're hanging in all these dark clusters of the internet where people are just shit talking, flooding their own bags, mind you, in weird ways, you know, misery loves company. And so it's just not how I want to spend my time. But look, it's like I can find good things to say about many projects, right? I can go ahead and say, okay, PHUX, right? It's an alternative DEX. They actually extend and add new functionality, right? They offer index funds. They offer deep stablecoin liquidity. PulseX doesn't have those things, but it's not like they've ever tried to destroy PulseX, you know, to prop up themselves. It's like, no, we live symbiotically. And I think that's what the founder of 9 Inch as well, Hexy Bastard, good dude, solid dude. He said I'm annoyed at maximalists. And I'm like, you're right. Well, some of them are annoying in the way that they handle themselves. But, you know, some of the guys in the 9 Inch chat are also annoying because they're like, you go in there and they're just shitting on PulseX all day. So it's like, guys, let's all get along here, man. Let's all get along. That's just
it's weird
that. Yeah,
it's weird to shit on like the LWIN or it's even the I don't know. It seems like if you're building stuff in the ecosystem, there would just be something. If I were building something, I would, and not even the Maxi side of me, just logically speaking, I would want to elevate the premier products rather. Even if I thought I had a better one, I would want to be like, okay, you know, kind of standing on the shoulders of giants sort of approach instead of taking away in some way.
I think I'm going to use 9 Inch. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to offer the single-sided staking that everybody wants that PulseX doesn't have right now. So they're all going to have their own unique functionality and use cases, and I'm going to use it, right? And I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to be very transparent with everybody, right? Like, I'm going to tell you how the yield farm game gets played. You know, people eternally dump single-sided stake tokens because they get them for almost zero risk. The only risk is the smart contract risk. With yield farming, and staking in yield farms, you have impermanent loss risk. With single-sided staking, you have zero risk other than the smart contracts, which, you know, alternatives like 9 Inch are double audited. They're going to probably be pretty safe. Nothing is without risk on the smart contract side, but, you know, I will be a seller of coins that I get when it doesn't cost me anything to get them. And a lot of people are also looking at this like another passive income machine. So, you know, the reason a lot of people want single-sided staking so bad is because they want to dump the tokens because they want a source of passive income. And everyone's pretending that that's not the case. Or not everyone, but a lot of people are kind of just, you know, they don't want to admit that that's really why they want to do this, right? They want a perma-dump because they want passive income in the bear market. So that's just the game. And we don't have to pretend that's not how a lot of people think. And we don't have to, and that can be totally fine, right? Because that is just, I made a video a while back about just like, it's called like liquidity farming exposed, and it's just like, yeah, these games are a bit shorter term, they're a bit more temporary, especially with single-sided staking and stuff. But but they are great and they provide a lot of benefit and they keep people afloat in a bear market and they keep people engaged and they offer alternative mechanisms for people that, you know, might have a bunch of some random crap coin and they just want to now stake it because they don't know what else to do with it, and it keeps them from dumping that token. So, you know, again, you could find good and bad ways to frame everything. And I just think it's, you know, we need to realize that there's a lot of protocols coming to PulseChain that extend the functionality, you know, and I'm going to go back to FUX again. It extends the functionality of the Richard Hart coins, and it adds alternative gauge-bound liquidity pools for other coins as well. Or let's say Hedron, right? Now you have wrappable stakes. But I don't know if you remember when Hedron first launched, everybody was all up in arms like, oh my God, new coin bad. And, you know, it's like, we're just like cavemen, like, oof, new thing, scary. And it's like, now everyone kind of likes Hedron. So it should be a meritocracy. I think the better coins should have objectively a functionality that extends the usefulness of coins that already have a solid track record and use case, like HEX, PulseChain, whatever, or even Ethereum, Bitcoin. You know, if a good privacy coin came out, that might be worth looking into, right? Or, you know, we've got Famous coming out, which is going to add leverage margin trading. So you'll be able to do margin trading for HEX, which, yeah, margin trading probably will wreck 90% of people, but there are advanced strategies you can do with that. We've got an Aave fork called Fiat coming out, which is decentralized borrowing and lending, creating a, you know, a money market essentially for the Richard Hart coins. So, you know, I guess as far as mentality goes, it's you don't want to be one of those guys that just says new thing bad no matter what, but you don't want to be one of those guys either that says, oh, it's all the Maxi's fault, it's all the OG's fault. You know, it's this self-victimizing mentality as well that, you know, when in reality, the reality is we are in a brutal bear market. It's mostly due to the macro. It's mostly due to, you know, SEC fears, but even more so just due to the fact that look at any other freaking coin out there. It's all down. It's dudes down 95%, laughing at dudes down 97%. It's like, yo, man, like we're all kind of fucked here. So let's just kind of maybe laugh it off if you can. Dollar cost average, if you so choose, if you believe that crypto is going to return. I do. I've been buying Pulse this whole way down. And might be getting ready to do the mother of all DCAs pretty soon in mid-September. If there's anything to the whole Rosh Hashanah cycle or full moon, I don't know. But look,
didn't you ask Randy the other day? Like I don't, or somebody, I thought it was you or somebody else said, is the full moon good or bad? we're trying to make some trades here. Come on.
Right. So it's basically look, man, it's one of those things. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If enough people believe it, then maybe it's true, and maybe there is something to the actual moon cycles. I mean, look, statistically, it seems like it. New moon good, full moon bad, right?
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah,
it's the Twilight rules. Got it.
Right. Full moon is like vampires. Vampires are bad. Yes. Easy to remember, right? August 30th. And between that window, right? Not only do we have a full moon in between. A full moon in Rosh Hashanah, right? That's 2 weeks. But then right after that, on September 17th, the Fed is meeting to raise rates probably one more time. So now the question is, oh my God, Jay Powell has just said that, you know, if we need to raise rates one more time, we will. And he, just because he said that, he's basically giving himself this ability to get one more hike in if he needs to, if basically stocks aren't down as much as they need to be. Like, you know, there's just too much froth in the market still, and nobody really knows what they're doing. It's like he's driving a plane with a blindfold on. He's trying to land it safely. And no one man should have all that power, right? To quote Kanye West.
It's a great song.
Yeah. But here we are, right? So we could get rates as high as 6%. And really, it's just wake me up when September ends and wake me up when 2023 ends, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, I said at the beginning of the stream too, I'm not getting excited. I don't even want to look at the price until I see some kind of good macro Fed news. Otherwise, Jay Powell's like, it's fine. We're going on vacation for 6 months, and I'm not gonna, you know, something like that. I had a couple things to say, but I forgot what they were. Chat, you guys are hilarious. Keep going. You're doing great. This one comment though, so from Heat Cool, price sucks because of the timing of the world, and we had a reverse AA. First time I've heard this reverse AA. I thought that was interesting, kind of mental way to look at it too. Instead of waiting 2 years to buy something, we waited 2 years to sell. We would find a bottom and then blast off from there. What do you think about that? What kind of the waiting of 2 years? Something that came up this morning. I was thinking of is, boy, it's kind of one of those things. I mean, you preach that we all preach, right? Delayed gratification, wait long enough, cycles, all this stuff. But now the people who've been here for a long time, we waited on PulseChain to launch. Whether you thought it was going to go up 100x or whatever, not doesn't really matter. It's down a lot. Everything is down a lot, but our ecosystem, we have this pride about it. It's down a lot too. Is it just? I don't know. The people who have been waiting for a long time, some of them will sell, some of them will never come back, and then we'll have new people come in and they'll kind of rotate. But what is I don't know what is the way to look at it? Like, what is the way? If you're down, you're like, oh my God, I wish I could DCA. I know this ecosystem's coming back. I wish I had more money, but I've been DCAing the whole way down. I'm out right now. I have my SAC money. No chance of getting it out unless I want to sell at a loss. Where's that piece that you're like, you know what? I think this is going to work. How do you get to the point where you just believe it's going to work if you're losing hope at all right now?
Well, for me, that's a good question. Thanks. For me personally, it's just it's actually the technology. I mean, it's so ironic that after all this, like, shitting on people that say I'm in it for the tech, the maximum copium is coming all the way back around to be like, actually, I am in it for the tech, because we are literally like frogs in boiling water here with the traditional financial system. You are going to get pushed to CBDC whether you like it or not. There's probably going to be some sort of social credit score associated with that in the next 10 to 20 years. And there's going to be a way out. And crypto is that way out because it is truly decentralized software. It almost doesn't matter what you're holding. HEX, Ethereum, Bitcoin, PulseChain, anything that's truly decentralized on a technical level, not on an economic level, not, oh, one guy owns more coins than me. That's something everybody messes up, right? Centralization in every single crypto is economically very centralized. Satoshi has 1 million Bitcoin, but you know what? You can't shut off all the miners at the same time. So technical decentralization is different than economic decentralization. And if your coin has no admin keys, if your coin is, crowd maintained or maintained by, many developers contributing over a long time, such as Ethereum or Bitcoin or PulseChain, or even better in HEX, where it's actually just an immutable block of code. A lot of good smart contracts out there are just immutable blocks of code with very, very limited ownership. These are going to be the tools of the future that we can use for maximum freedom and to navigate and use our freedom to transact in the utmost way. Now, these things also tend to have the highest appreciating price history of any asset of all mankind. So it's nice that as a side effect of holding self-sovereign peer-to-peer digital money, we can also get rich in the process. And somebody said it best, I think it was Trace Mayer, is that it's like a global digital financial revolution disguised as an internet Ponzi scheme or disguised as a casino. Because that's what a lot of people think crypto is. They think, oh, I'm just going to come here. And I laugh when I hear like OnlyFans is just like crypto for dudes. And it's like, kind of in a way, because some people treat it like that. Some people treat crypto like it's just this degen casino, and they just, they just like, they don't see the bigger picture of they can't imagine holding anything longer than a couple of weeks or a couple of months. They want to be a day trader. They think that's what crypto really is. It's really just buying and holding solid projects, waiting for the price to go up in a matter of a couple of years. I mean, the price can really skyrocket faster than we think. And it can also really go down a lot, much more than we think. But if you're not holding your positions, if you don't have your position established on just a couple of these days, like for example, the vast majority of all the gains in the S&P 500 over the past 5 years, they've done backtesting studies on this, were made in like 30 individual days, right? So if you were going in and out of the market all the time, and you were not in the market on these 30 days out of like 5 years of history, you missed out on, the vast lion's share of the gains. And it's the same way in crypto, right? We're going to have certain green candle days that if you're chasing those pumps and you're trying to buy in after they already pumped, you're missing out on the, you just turned a 100x into, a 20x, right? Like that's how much this can be affected if you don't have, if you're not abiding by the mentality of time in the market and you're trying to do time-ing the market. you're really going to end up with a lot less X's, right? Than just scaling in at the lows and slowly scaling out after you've got your 100X or your 1000X or whatever it might be. And so that's where we're at. That's what I guess that's what makes me feel better about what I'm holding is I know it's decentralized. I know there's no off switch. I know the SEC can't shut it off. The government can't shut it off. Richard could get hit by a bus and it would still go on business as usual. And it's up to the community to propagate this narrative forward, right? Because we literally have better money than anything that the CBDC could possibly be. Now, there's a war on cash and cash is going away. So in a digital age, what do you do for private self-sovereign money? If not cash, well, you need to go to a real crypto, real DeFi, the real parallel financial ecosystem that we're building right now. And it's fun to be a part of the building process because you see on PulseChain specifically, we are building more than ever before. We haven't stopped building. The builders are like the real heroes here. You know, they really do believe in what they're doing. They've chosen PulseChain to be their home. And if you look around, you see a lot of people taking very, very good concepts and bringing them to life in a decentralized way and abiding by a lot of the things that Richard Hart popularized, a lot of the ideals like get your shit audited, right? Have very, very limited admin keys, if not zero admin keys. True decentralization. Like, there shouldn't be any like one owner, right? So not your keys, not your coins, not handing over your keys to a middleman. These are all very core, basic crypto principles. But a lot of people lost the plot along the way with FTX, with Celsius. Now they're giving all their money. Now the new thing is, let's all join these new L2s, the new L2 narrative, right? And it's like the main relayer of the L2 is owned by one guy, and that one guy can track you on the way in and on the way out, and it can actually shut you off on the way in and on the way out. So, governments now have no problem with L2s because they realize this, but they're again losing the plot of decentralization. So, Ethereum was a great step forward. PulseChain's a copy of that. HEX is a copy of Bitcoin, but it's even more isolated and modular. We've got real good sound money here, and it's competing with what's going to be a CBDC. But just know that, what helps me sleep at night is that it can't be shut off, right? It can't be shut off. And what other asset class are you even going to get a 10x in? A 10x would be very lackluster for the crypto markets. But are you even going to get that in the stock market at all with the S&P 500? No. You're lucky if the S&P goes up 20% one year. So regardless of how this next bull market performs, whether we're talking about 20x or 2000x, this is where I want to be because it kicks everything else's ass as far as I'm concerned. There's just no better place for me personally to put my money when it comes to the technology and the potential of the price gains.
Yeah, it is one of those things. I don't know, around HEX versus PulseChain and everything else. It's almost like, I know people are probably pricing in risk differently with PHEX versus the EHEX versus anything in the PulseChain ecosystem, but it just seems like, if you think that if you like both hexes, you don't care which one, you're buying the cheapest one, whatever. If you're in that kind of camp, it almost seems like EHEX would be the one that could always survive that. I'm not saying any of this stuff would happen, but like if PulseChain ever just goes away, there'll always be the EHEX, there'll always be that original, and all that stuff too. But just in the face of all the SEC stuff and otherwise too, I wanted to ask. I don't know if you've seen this tweet, but I thought it was really good from Dipcatcher. It makes sense that HEX doesn't fit in the garden fence of securities regulation. By broadcasting a message on chain, you're opting out of the Securities Exchange Commission protection and opting into self-protection. You bear all risk and capture all reward. Natural order. What do you think of, like, I don't think I've ever heard it kind of described that way, which is very interesting. I'm not sure if if it'll turn out that way. I certainly believe like that's a wholesome way of looking at it. I want that to be true. I want it to be like legally true and all that stuff too. But how do you feel about everything that's happened with SEC and now the way that people are kind of calculating the risk factor with HEX versus PulseChain and otherwise? Like, how do you feel about it?
Look, HEX, PulseChain, PulseX fail the Howey test. As far as my understanding of the English language goes, they fail the Howey test. And whether or not the SEC agrees with their own rules is we're going to have to see, right? There's always uncertainty, but I believe that if they abide by the rules that they wrote, And, if lawyers can reasonably explain to the SEC, because apparently sometimes they need they need to be explained, the very rules that they created sometimes, Ripple, Coinbase, all these companies that are being attacked right now are trying to defend themselves. Unfortunately, having to prove innocence rather than guilt, which I thought it was innocent until proven guilty, but not to these thugs out here. That these are products. These are finished products. There were no promises of future work from Richard, right? Richard is done. Richard can go away right now, and these products would be out fine. They don't require any future effort or expectations of him, any managerial effort, right? On top of that, they are not investment contracts, especially more so when listed on secondary markets. So really, I don't think there's any reason, in my interpretation of the English language, there is no reason that centralized exchanges would not be allowed to list products, finished products that are not investment contracts on their secondary markets. Now, whether or not potentially PulseChain and PulseX were an unregistered security, in my opinion, the worst case would be a fine. And the best case would be nothing. The best case would be these are deemed objectively not securities. But the way I literally understand them in my head is that these are not securities. I believe that to be true. And that's where I put my conviction in. It's just knowing what I know about the fact that there was no investment of money into a common pool with the expectation of profit from the work of others. And if some people did have expectations, then that was a fairy tale that they made up for themselves, right? I don't know a guy that's tried harder to follow the rules than Richard. I don't really know a person that tried harder than any other founder out there to say, you should not expect anything from me, motherfucker. Like, he probably said that.
That exact phrase, probably.
I think he probably did say it like that at some point. No, but he probably said it 100 times, in various streams and stuff. And it's just like, okay, we get it. I believe that it's more than a wink and a nod, right? It was more from like, I really did sacrifice money for freedom of speech and freedom of movement. These are things that I believe in. So, it's like, it gets very watery when you're like, some guys like, yeah, well, I expected Richard to do work for me. And it's like, well, where did he say that he would? Like how did you? It's like saying I expected Ronald McDonald was going to make my cheeseburgers. Where's Ronald McDonald, man? Like, why isn't he the one making my cheeseburgers? He always makes them the best, man. He always puts all that tender love and care. But now I got some random dude making my cheeseburgers. I want Ronald back. It's like, it's weird, dude. Maybe there's a better metaphor. But
don't expect Ronald to show up and make your cheeseburgers. I'm okay with that metaphor. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, man. Now you've got all the various managers of all the various McDonald's franchises. You got, the Hedron McDonald's. You got the Fox McDonald's. You got the 9-inch McDonald's. But Ronald ain't here to save you, bro. Like
the 9-inch McDonald's. I don't know if I want to walk in the 9-inch McDonald's.
Yeah, you don't want to know it's no secret sauce, do you?
Yeah, I think it's better kept a secret.
Secret formula, right?
Yeah, gosh. However, the Big Mac sauce, that was pretty tasty. I do like the Big Mac sauce. I like dipping my fries in Big Mac sauce.
Dude, I love a good Big Mac.
It's good. I mean, I try not to eat there. It's hard to eat there much anymore, but when I do, I'm going for either a double quarter pounder with cheese or with Big Mac sauce on the side and on it. Boom! I just messed it up.
Oh man, that sounds pretty good, but that's a little too much meat for me.
A lot of meat. That's true. Well, it's anyways, to get away from the meat wagon here. What's up, Cabana Crypto? You missed the hamburger grill. Yeah, that was a good character. Do like him too. Just last thing on this too, real quick. I feel like just when you're talking about the true DeFi aspect of it and everything else, Hex getting hit by this, Richard, all this stuff, it seems like, if Richard wins the case and Hex wins and all this stuff and we all win, it seems like that almost lines up. I don't know. I kind of have the speculation that like Richard's known about this, probably coming the whole time, and he's like, okay, getting ready. I want to make the difference. I want to, glory, right? I want to be a force for good in the world. He's talked about all this illegal, all the bad stuff happening before that shouldn't be happening. It's almost like maybe this is his time to be like, okay, now I'm gonna get a win. I'm gonna get a win not only for us, but I'm gonna get a win for crypto, and I'm gonna show that above everything else, if at least you meet this criteria, if you're anything that looks like HEX, you're anything that's true DeFi, lock your coins up, not these shadow banks, not these things that take your stuff and then lose it and oops, forgot to pay the last week. If you're anything that in that category, at least, it'll be nowhere near a security, nowhere near. It will fail all the legs, of whatever test you give it. So do you think there's something bigger, even sacrificing for freedom of speech, freedom of movement? Like if you're sacrificing for that, not that we have any expectations for what the money is going to do or anything. It just, I guess you could make a case that, well, now that if wherever that money went, maybe that would be for those kinds of higher calling, this like higher, getting that type of stuff, making it better in some way, the freedom of, movement and transaction, all that stuff. But do you think there's something bigger that Richards wants to do with all this, or you think he even knew about it beforehand?
Yeah, a lot of people think he almost baited the SEC, right? And I'm sure he would have rather not had this whole thing happen. But with him being as loud as he is, and with him speaking truth to power and talking about speaking truth to power for ages now, ever since his book and his old self-help videos, I'm sure he figured this day would come sooner or later. So, a guy like Richard, he probably figured, why not sooner? So let's get this out of the way. Let's be one of the examples that we set for DeFi protocols in America, at least going forward. Because you got to remember, the SEC is USA only, right? They are kind of like the world police sometimes. They pretend to be the world police and starting to piss everyone else off. Like, just look at the BRICS, look at the BRICS alternative currency going up to compete with the US dollar. Yeah, basically, I do think we're in the macro cycle. We're kind of cycling back into this decentralization of power after the imperialism of the American empire, after we forced the world reserve currency on many different countries by saving them with democracy. Lol. Everyone's kind of getting tired of it, right? So Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, they're fighting back, and many other countries are like, you know what? Wait, we don't have to use your BS dollar anymore. We can go do our own thing. Or El Salvador is like, yeah, we can just use accept Bitcoin, and now all of a sudden our crime is way down, and it's actually a pretty good place to live now, from what I hear. I think Richard's gonna try to be a part of history with this, to actually do something positive in terms of progress for innovation, and progress for what he believes to be basic fundamental human rights. The freedom of speech and freedom of assembly mantras from the sacrifice phase were not arbitrary. They weren't winks and nods. And although there was some aspect of like, yeah, you're probably going to get these coins, you might not, but you probably will. He really did want to drive a point home that I believe in freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. He really does get pissed off when, Tornado Cash developer gets thrown in jail, or when mask mandates prevent people from, small business owners from just getting by. And now everybody's addicted to debt. And they're sucking on the government teats, hoping to get, a PPP loan or whatever it might be. When you got helicopter money flying out of the window, and people are just squabbling around on the floor trying to pick up dollars just to get by, and a house is worth, what is it, like 10 times an average year's wage, whereas before it was like 3 years, in 1950 or something. I don't know the numbers exactly, but things are getting less and less fair, and cryptocurrency is one of the only good things bringing the power back to the people. So I think this is his fight to fight. I think whatever happens, whether he ends up a martyr or he wins, again, this is going to have no effect on the underlying technology, right? This is going to be optics. If anything, it's just, and look, if the bull market was back, all the framing of this SEC news would be, oh, look at how much more exposure this is getting HEX, right? If it bleeds, it leads. All news is good news, right? People would be saying that. And really, you show me the color of the candle and I'll tell you the news. That's how it works. But this is going to be his fight, right? I don't think he will end up in jail or anything like that. I think it's very possible that he gets fined. I think it's also very possible that he wins. Those are kind of the two. I'd give both of those like almost like equal probability, like 48%, 48%, maybe 2% something worse, right? Or 4% something worse. Anyway.
Do you think regardless of what happens, he'll come out of this in our community. Therefore, I mean, not that they're 1-on-1, but there is a connection there. I think we can survive without Richard. I do think Richard will step away one day to go do a lot of the real stuff, longevity research, and a lot of things he wants to do. Maybe with freedom of movement and freedom of everything else from the sacrifices too. But do you think that he will afterwards? It's like, okay, actually, this guy is a good guy. You think a year from now, 2 years from now, however long it takes, we'll be like, wow, the world finally sees him as what he's trying to do instead of just the outrage marketing stuff.
Yeah, I think he is one of the most misunderstood people in crypto. I think it's always people hate people for speaking the truth a lot of the times. Although he could have maybe handled things in a little more of a less of a braggadocious way. He's an expert marketer, and like you said, longevity research and fixing the world, right? After fixing the money, he had always wanted to go on to create the Save Your Ass Fund and these things that he'd been talking about. Hexaco is a real idea, I believe, in his mind, creating somewhat of an actual small nation state. And these are all things on his agenda that, it's like, how long do you need Richard around for, guys? Like, I think we all need to take a step. We need to take a moment here and kind of grow up, right? And not need some kind of like father figure to tell us what to do in crypto. And I think you can see the people that are the most upset about Richard not streaming are probably the ones that just have the most insecurity about what they're holding, or the most insecurity of like needing some authority figure to tell them everything's going to be okay. And if you needed somebody to tell you to buy something without actually understanding why you bought it in the first place, you're probably not going to make it in general, right? Like, you need to have conviction in your own beliefs. And what other founder out there has really stuck around? Even 3 years is lucky, right? He's been here and he's still here, guys. He's still tweeting. He's still, speaking wisdom. He's still.
Do you think that's him?
Yes. I don't. Come on, guys. Like, people
I do
invent
too, but
theories. People can invent conspiracy theories because they often make things simpler in their minds than the actual truth. And the truth is that the world is complicated, and the truth is that there is no master cabal of people pulling all the strings. It's not, the Illuminati. I mean, there are clubs, right? There are groups of people that have a lot of power, but there are many groups of people, and they're all competing for power on the world stage. And Richard's a human being just like everybody else. And what we're living in basically is just a constant power struggle and a constant shift and battle of egos. So where was I? Yeah, he's been around for 3.5 years, nurturing HEX and PulseChain like his babies. And I think he's nurtured as far as a community is already beyond his wildest imagination. I mean, he said that before, is that he was blown away by the community. He didn't think it would be this good, meaning I think that he thought HEX and PulseChain would have done very well, even without this good of a community. I always figured he knew that we needed some level of community, but I don't think he realized how good it was going to be. And when you look around and you've got builders out the wazoo and you've got content creators out the yin yang, there are more and more every day. And despite all this adversarial stuff, people are doubling down on their beliefs, and they're sticking to their guns, and they're coming to defend their bags. And I don't think he needs to be around for 10 years or 15 years. He'll probably stick around another 3-4 years and slowly be less and less relevant, right? But after how relevant is Vitalik, right? Like, he talks at conferences once in a while, and that's great. And he's got, he writes smart people papers and stuff. But do you see him live streaming every week? And do you see him going after, like, today I'm going to debate Roger Ver? No, he's not doing any of that stuff, because that's not what a typical founder ends up doing. You need to highly nurture your community when it's the most fragile. And then you kind of need to let it go and do its own thing. And we're in that stage of figuring out how to survive without an authoritarian figurehead, right? And he can really just be like more in the background. I also think people need to go where they're most effective. And I think that he is most effective on the ideas side, on the project management side, on coming up with the list of priorities of what needs to get built next. And he can take a back seat when it comes to, wrecking people on debates and stuff. As fun as that is to watch, I think we can take a lot of that entertainment value, that valuetainment YouTube stuff. We can take it from here. And people are mad that, oh, PulseX doesn't have single-sided staking. But okay, Hexy Bastard's building it for us, bro. Like, we got that covered. It's like, we're building the stuff that other people want. That Richard, we can't just sit around and say, Richard, why aren't you doing this for me? Right? Like, the man built 3 products that are all very self-sustainable, that, you know, could live for many, many years without any future involvement from him. But I do think he will have a backseat role in the background of coming up with priorities. Like, you know, he's hinted at the past about adding some privacy stuff, which I would love to see, right? And some stuff that's very core to crypto principles. But for everything else, you know, for all the hedrons of the world, or the famous, or the fiats of the world, other people can take the reins and develop what they want to do. So yeah, it's really just, you know, as simple as kind of be the change you want to see. And we're in this weird place where it's all what we make of it at this point.
Yeah, when you mentioned single-sided staking, we were so zoomed out at that time too, and you said it, I was just like, that's not even a concern in my mind. Like, it's just such a little detail.
Like, it sounds silly to talk about like the world stage, and then now you zoom in on this one guy that's super mad that you don't have single-sided staking. It's like, man, we really just need to take a deep breath and just have some confidence that we can actually affect change in the world with our voice, with our code, you know, because code is just language as well, and with our camaraderie and, you know, our ideals that are all more or less the same. We all believe in freedom of speech. We all believe that we have the right to transact freely and not be shut off by corrupt governments who are devaluing our currency every single day. I think we all share very common ideals, and there's enough of us together, loosely related, to really make an impact here. So let's not forget that every little thing that you do does make a difference. Everything you do matters, and you don't need Richard twerking his ass on fucking YouTube to get stuff done. In fact, I almost think it's better, right? I almost think it gives us a little more freedom to, like, you know, part of me is like, oh, finally we don't have to watch that outrage marketing anymore. Like, I get it, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy watching it, but man, the guy had to make a movie, right? So anyway,
movie, docuseries, we'll see. There's a lot of footage we did not see in the documentary, so I'm looking forward to seeing where we're going to see that in the future, especially the Eric Wall debate. I was like, great, we're going to see a great version of that coming up on the documentary. Nope, not in there. So I hope there's much more material coming out. It's exciting. Something things to be excited about other than macro environment, bad, price down right now. So what you're saying is the rocket ship is still intact.
The rocket ship is a little beat up, man, but hey,
a little beat up, a little bloody.
I think we're still going to the moon.
Still going to the moon.
You could always film it in a Hollywood basement, right?
Well, maybe one day the Hexkins will be the club that has the power, and we'll have a lot of ability to share and spread all of these good ideas to the community. Richard helped popularize, but the community is building now. So, man, great conversation. Always good to have you on. What do you want to take us out on? I know you got a busy day. Sounds like you're gonna have a fun weekend, family and friends and all that.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on and letting me ramble. Good timing because my car is fully charged and I'm ready to get on my way.
Nice.
But I guess the only thing that's been on my mind lately is the hypocrisy on both sides within the community. There's not your maximalism. You're a peaceful maximalist, right? But there's like haters of anything that's not Hex, Pulse, and PulseX, and then there's people making new projects that are also hating on the very platforms that allow these projects to exist. So it's like, let's just kind of stop the hate, at least the hate that's within the community. And if we're going to hate anyone, let's focus that energy and that anger and aggression on the SEC. And even more importantly, what can we do about it? Let's not just get on Twitter and say, hey, fuck you at SEC. Like, that doesn't accomplish things, right? Like that'll get you on a list, but that's not going to get anything done. So
that's some real comments. That sounds like a real comment we've came across.
Swearing at the SEC. I don't know, but there's things we could do. Like, we could start a petition. I'm actually in the process of starting a website to form a petition to file an amicus brief, kind of like Ripple did. So more on that later, right? I can't talk about that too much yet, and it's not the right time yet, but I'll be hosting Twitter Spaces to try to get I think we can get thousands of people to sign this brief and potentially affect the outcome of the suits, right? These are something that we, the people, can do by proclaiming, yo, we're the ones getting scammed by you, victimized by you. We're not the ones getting victimized by Richard here, in more of a legalese type of way. yeah, think about what you can contribute. And if not, then just focus on your health, wealth, eat, sleep, exercise, spend time with your family. And let's not waste time hating and cannibalizing ourselves, because you're never going to wish that you spent more time arguing with strangers on the internet when you're on your deathbed. So that's it.
For sure. Last one before we go. Unplugged Dad says, tell Coffee I will buy his ticket to our meetup. We have a September 9th meetup in Seattle. If you're interested, we have an offer for a plane ticket for you.
I love Seattle, but I was just there, I feel like. Wait, is that, when is the meetup?
September 9th.
That's pretty close, man. I got to double check. Okay. But thank you. It's a very nice gesture. Thank you.
Unplugged Dad, thank you for your generosity there. And Coffee, let me know. I am plugged into the local meetup group. So if you do want to make it out, we do have a barbecue coming up on the 9th at a park near Seattle. And it's always a good time. It's kind of been our annual thing. I guess this will only be the second time, but I have a feeling we'll keep doing it for a while. So it'll be a fun time if you're around, interested in coming.
I do love Seattle. Let me know about that.
Sounds good. All right, everyone. Love chat today. You guys are hilarious and both a little rowdy, but it's fine. It's good rowdiness. That's all we got for you today. Coffee, have a good one, man. And Scivive and 5555, everyone. We are out.
Later, guys.